Okay, so in my prototype game I implemented a very simple state machine for game state, so I'm going to do this here as well. I'm going to create a global game state table, game states, and it will be equal to a table, and we are going to have three states: game running, game pause, and game over. So pause equals pause equals pause, running equals running, and game underscore over equals game over. And I'm going to create a state. It will be also global. So state equals game states dot running. By default it will be running, or it will be set to running. Okay, and now I'm going to create an actual collision with the snake parts. So, and when the snake will collide with its own part, the game state will be set to game over. So here in the update I'm going to do the last for loop, generic for loop. So for underscore for the key and value in I pairs of the tail, do, and I'm going to ask if snake x is equal to the value at 1, and the snake y is equal to the value at index 2. Then it means that the snake collides with itself. So I'm going to set the state to game states dot game over, game underscore over, and of course and the if statement. So, and when the game is over, I just want to draw something on the screen. So I'm going to save this file and go back to main.lua, and here in the Love2d I'm going to only update the game when the game state is running. So okay, if the state equals game states dot running, game states dot running, then do all of these and the if. So now, yes, now it should work. So let me try this. Probably I'm going to speed up the video somehow. Okay, I still having somewhere problem to close a function. Which function? At line 43 game update. Yes, I just forgot to close this for loop. Okay, so and now let's run it. And now our snake is long enough to actually collide. And as you can see, when it collides itself, the game state is set to game over. So all the here in the Love2d update, all the game updates are just skipped because now it only the game updates only when the state is running. Off screen, I'm just added these few lines into my Love2d draw function. So when the state is game over, it will draw the game over text in this position, and also the press space to restart text in this position. So just to test it, I'm going to set the state to game over by default. So game underscore over. So save it and run it. So now we have this text game over, press space to restart. So, and now I'm actually going to add this restart game functionality when we press the space key. Okay, I just realized that when we draw text, these last four values are optional values, so we can leave them out and make it a little bit make it look a little bit better. So these are the x and the y position of the text. This is the radius, and this is the scale x and scale y, and so the game over is scaled up by 4 times. So this is a little bit bigger, and the press space to restart is scaled up by 3 times. So now let's go to back to I'm going to stay here in main.lua, and here I'm going to add another else if. So else in the low.key press 7th, make a little bit space here. So else if key is equal to space, and I'm also going to ask if the state and the state and state is equals the game states dot game over, game underscore over. Then I'm going to call the function from game.lua, which is this game restart. So game underscore restart. Okay, so here I'm checking for the space key if it is pressed, and if the state is game over, only then call the game underscore restart function. And now let's go and do this game restart, so in the game.lua file, and the game restart just will reset everything to its starting. So snake X and snake Y will be 15 and 15 again. The direction X and the direction Y will be set to 0 and 0. The tail, which is a table, will reset to an empty table. And the up, not up, but up, down, left, and the right will be reset to false, 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 and one more false. The tail length will be reset to 0. State will be reset to game states.running, and I'm going to add a new apple. So this game underscore restart just resets everything to its initial values. So snake X, snake Y is 15 and 15 when we start the game. The direction X and direction Y are 0 and 0. The tail length is 0. The tail is an empty table. The up, down, left, right are falses. So tail length, the state is the running state, and it will add a new apple. And now let's just try it out. So it will start as game over. The state will be the game over. So now if I press the space key, okay, I need to save this file probably. And now if I press the space key, the game starts over. And I'm going to set back the initial state to running. And here, if I move left, I'm also going to ask if the state is running. So, and state equals game states.running. Then do all of these. Here I'm just going to copy and paste the same code. So state equals game state.running. Here also when we are moving up and when we are moving down also. So I don't want to change the game state when, let's say, the state is paused or game over. So that's why I'm asking here, if the game state is running, then set the left right down to false true or whatever. And I'm also going to add one more else if key equals p key, which will be the pause key. Then the state will be game states dot pause. Okay, let's try it, but expected near state. Where it is Lua32 main. Okay, I don't see where the yes, here I should add an and also here and also here. Okay, so the key is down and the state is running. If the key is space and the state is game over, so I just forgot to add these ends. And now let's try it. So now if I press the P key, the game should pause. But if I press the P key again, nothing happens, so we need to add another check. If the P key is pressed once again, it will set the state back to running state. So here I'm going to add another if statement. So if state equals game states that running, then state will be equal to pause and else state will be equal to game states dot running, and don't forget to end this inner nested if. So now every time when the game state and the key P is pressed and the state is running, then the state will be set to pause. Else, when the game state is not running but it is paused, it will set back to running. So it is a very simple logic. So now I'm going to move the snake, press the P key, it pauses, and when I press the P key again, it continues to run the game. So P and P again. Okay. We still have a little problem. So when the tail length is bigger than 2, I'm just going to show you. So now it's bigger than 2, and now it moving, the snake moves left, and when I press the right key, it will collide with the tail, so the game state will be game over. So now let's unpause this. So I'm just going to press the right key and it collides with itself, so game over state is set. To actually prevent this, in the game.lua and in the game update function, when up is true, I'm also going to ask and direction y equals 0, and the direction y equals 0, only then set the direction y to -1. And here also, when we move down and the direction y equals 0, then only then set the direction y, and do this for the left and the right also. So and direction x equals 0, and here when right and direction x equals 0. So now when we move to one direction, let's say now I'm moving left or up. Oops, something is missing here. Direction x, direction y. Okay. Now let's try it. So now I'm going to move left. I cannot move to right when I'm moving to left, but I can move up, and now I can move right, but I can move left, but I can move up and down. And when I move up, I cannot move down. So this way, when the tail length is bigger than 1, so let me do this. I cannot change the direction, which means I'm moving up and I'm pressing the down key, but I cannot move back because I will collide with the tail. And the same when I move left. The only thing left to add to this game is the intervals. So after every 6 collected apples, I'm going to decrease the interval so the game will run faster and faster. So here under if game state is running, interval blah blah blah, and I'm going to quickly check in my prototype. Yes, interval is less than 0, then update the game. And also, yes, ask for the tail length before I set the interval back to 20. So if the tail length, tail underscore length, and tail length should be not local but global, because we need this tail length variable inside, so I'm going to move it here because I need this tail length inside the main.lua. So if tail length is less than or equal to 5, then I'm going to set the interval to 20, and else if the tail length is bigger than 5 and it's also the tail length is less than 10, then the interval will be set to 15, and else if the tail length is bigger than 10 and the tail length is less than or equal to 15, then the interval will be interval will be set to 10, and else the interval will be set to 5. And this if. So if the tail length will be less than or equal to 5, the interval remain at 20, but if the tail length will be bigger and it will be less than or equal to 10, the interval will be 15. And when the tail length is bigger than 10 and also it is less than 15, then the interval will be 10, and when the tail length is bigger than 15, so from 16, the interval will be 5, so the snake will move very fast, which means the game will get harder and harder after every 6 apples. So now let's try it. Now, as you can see, the interval is set to 15 because we have more than 5 apples. And now the interval is set to 10 because we have more than 10 collected apples. So it is a little bit faster. And now the interval is 5. So as you can see now the game gets very fast. Okay.